What has an eye, one eye, but cannot see? Could you say it? A needle. All right, I've got another one for you. Are you ready? What's as light as a feather, yet the strongest man in the entire world could not hold it for more than 5 minutes? Do you know it? Your breath. Can you hold your breath for more than 5 minutes? Try it with me. Are you ready? Let's go to 15 seconds. Ready? And if you want to, you can keep going and going and going, and you can't go for more than 5 minutes, I guarantee it. Those are riddles, and riddles are just phrases or words put together to make the audience listen, to make us hear, to make us interested in what's being talked about. The scripture that we're going to talk about today sounds kind of like a riddle. It kind of sounds confusing. But if you really listen, you're going to hear the meaning, and it's a really amazing thing that God's telling us in this scripture. So it comes from John 1:1. It says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." That sounds kind of weird, doesn't it? I'm going to give you a clue, okay? And this actually comes from John 1:14. It says, "The Word became a human being. He made his home with us. We have seen his glory. It is the glory of the one and only who came from the Father, and the Word was full of grace and truth." Now let's look at our scripture before. We just said, John 1:1, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." Who is God talking about in that scripture? That sounds like a riddle, and it's kind of confusing. You might have guessed it. Jesus. That is exactly right. Jesus. So let's use Jesus instead of the Word when we're saying it. Because we know John 1:14 tells us the Word became a human being. He's talking about Jesus. Okay. All right. It says, "In the beginning was Jesus, and Jesus was with God, and Jesus was God." So if we just switch out the Word and put Jesus in there, we'll think about it a little better. So now that we know who the Word is Jesus, we know that Jesus was in the beginning. When we talked about creation, do you remember Genesis 1:1? It starts out very similar to this scripture. "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." So this passage says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." So Jesus has always been. Jesus is part of the Trinity, and Jesus has always been. The next few weeks here, I'm going to talk to you even more about the New Testament and talk to you about Jesus being on earth and how he taught us to do things and how awesome he really is. So I want you guys to hear Emmanuel, God with us. He is with us now, but he physically walked on the earth, but he's always been. So Jesus, my best friend in the whole world, is with me to the very end of the age, and he's always been and he'll always be. So I can trust him with all my heart because he's so good and he's always been here. So I can't wait to study out the New Testament with you the next few weeks. So I will see you next week. Bye.